Salutations, I'm Salutations77, and today we've got Mongol Amara. So this build was originally requested by Red Spy 6089 over on the Blind's Edge Amara video. I do recommend going and checking that out. But that was over a month ago. I did mention that it has been difficult for me to keep up with the time frames when it comes to a lot of these builds. On the Thumper Zane is still one that it's just like I haven't gotten to yet. It's been so long since that's been requested, I just haven't gotten to it yet. It's not because it's not interesting, but when it comes to that, it's mostly because I haven't gotten the items that I wanted, for one. And two, it's not something that just like comes to the forefront of my mind when it's just like, I want to make a video. Thumper? Use the Thumper. No, it just doesn't pop in my head. So I don't end up making a video on it, which sucks because that kind of like counters the whole point of these videos. But I just glaze right over it when I'm looking at my list. But I still haven't gotten the items that I want to use for it, so that is the main thing to it. That's the part that sucks, is waiting to get the items, and then I finally am able to set up the build and run the video. A lot of the times when it comes to these videos though, like the one yesterday, I make the video. Well, I don't have time to make I don't have time to make a very like in-depth build for the video, and so I already know what the heck I could do with this weapon. I'm gonna make this in like 30 seconds because I already have most of the equipment, if not all of it, on a character, and then just run it. Like the one that I had, the one that I ran yesterday with the Linoge. It's like I had all the equipment. I ran the Magnificent build. It basically was pretty close to the same setup. I just had to have 2 Linoges, which didn't take very long to get because Lavender Crawley is a very generous Varkin. But it took me like, what, 10 minutes to get that? And then the skill tree, I mean, when it comes to skill trees for these, most of the time I don't really need to put too much thought into it. It takes me like 30 minutes at most to formulate a base skill tree to use. When it comes to some of the better weapons, it takes like 30 minutes to like formulate a skill tree that I want to play with. Most of the time when I'm building the skill tree, it's mostly just to fit what playstyle I want to play with that weapon. Instead of it being mostly to make the weapon look the best it possibly can, just simply because in 99% of the circumstances, you are either using clone or you are using eraser, and you're not using anything in between, which doesn't really feel fair to the character. And so there's a lot of items where I'm just like, I want to do something different, and I love doing things that are different, and so I just play with like every random shenanigan nonsense that comes to my mind that has a potential to work, and then I run it, and most of the time it works. There are definitely times where it doesn't, but there's a good amount of times that it does, and I've gotten pretty good at just looking at stuff, and it just makes sense. Now, let's actually get to the build here. We have the Mongol. This rocket launcher is pretty cool because when you shoot it, it shoots other rockets. It instead of it just being you shooting, and now your gun is also shooting, and it's not a Tediore. So this launch is pretty cool. We have a Guardian Angel on here for swap to deal increased damage because it's a delayed projectile, but we have a action skill into Elemental Anoint, which then makes it really difficult because every time we swap, we lose that anointment. So what I did to fix that issue is grab Avatar. Avatar gives us that second action skill activation no matter what the cooldown is. This way, I activate it once, I shoot, I swap back, activate it again. That way I can consistently keep that next to Mag's anointment active while still being able to one-tap Kraken. Like, this is freaking awesome. And then we have Sellout for being able to proc Mindfulness when I'm not utilizing my action skill to proc it, so probably right when I jump to start this run. We have the Driver here, which the part about this build that took so long was I wanted a purple class mod. I wanted a very specific purple class mod. I wanted 5 in arms deal with heavy damage cooldown rate, or with heavy damage splash damage, or with splash damage cooldown. One of those 3 would have worked just fine. I wanted one of them. I didn't get any of them, and I got a couple with 5 in arms deal. But I didn't get any. None of them showed up with splash cooldown. I had one that got really close. One of them was splash damage. But the issue was it didn't have cooldown. It's like, I really, really need the cooldown on the class mod if I'm going to have it anywhere, especially when I'm using something a touch more offbeat than what I usually do for an Amara build. And I'll get into them when we actually get to the skill tree. Another item that I've been farming for, that I started farming for a little after last week, Wednesday's video. Actually, last week Wednesday? Yeah, last week Wednesday. So, Toboggan. The Toboggan, as it was brought to my attention during the K9's build review video, where I was covering his boss Shredder Flak, and the issue with his Toboggan was it had heavy damage and magazine size. And for the people that don't know, you can't get both of those on a Toboggan. There are a list of passives that all cannot show up with each other on the artifact. You cannot roll double elemental. You cannot roll weapon type with magazine size. You cannot roll weapon type with elemental damage. And so it's just like, there's a lot of things that I didn't know about and stuff that I've been requesting in trade chats because I don't like farming for the Toboggan. I don't like running arms race by myself. It's freaking slogfest and it's boring. I'm only running that with other people, and I don't have the time to get a group of people to run arms race anymore. So I don't ever get to run it. And so it's just like, I'm not ever farming for this weapon, so I always have to ask for it. And I ask for specific passives, and then people give it to me through a save editor in a trade channel because there's no way of verifying that. And I don't really care if it's save edit if I'm getting it from a trade channel. Doesn't matter to me. The problem is when it's not a legit item, because then I have to go and get either actually go and get the legit version or verify that it not being a legit version would affect the build's performance or not. And there were definitely a couple builds that I have to go remake the videos on because I didn't know, and because they didn't know that those passives don't come on the artifact, which sucks. But it's all right. I definitely won't take very long for me to remake those. It just means I'm gonna have to re-add them to the list, and that's a lot of weapons to re-add to the list. But it's fine. It's just a lot more work than I was originally intending. After talking about how much work it is to have that giant list, it's already. But it gives me a lot of content to go over, and that by itself probably will last me until a little bit through next year. So it's gonna be all right. It's a lot of. It just means you guys get a lot of content. That's all that translates to. You all get a lot of content. We have the Peonade with Grenade Throw for extra damage here, and we have Frozen Heart. We have a couple other shields on here, plus Ultra, Big Boom Blaster. Both these are very viable here, but I'm choosing to use the Frozen Heart because of the skill tree we chose. So we have Do Harm with Rush Stacks. We have Violent Tapestry with Rush Stacks. Neither of them are really doing too much, but they are there because there's not enough points in that road to not put points there, and they're both good skills. And it also helps if we want to run a Phase Zerker instead of the Driver. We have access to a whole bunch of Rush Stack skills. We have Alacrity, which is giving us a lot of reload speed, which also pairs with Fast Hands for reload speed. And all of this reload speed is extremely helpful when it comes to utilizing a launcher like this, because let's check that reload speed. 4.3 seconds. That is extremely long. And that fire rate of 0.61, I checked, 0.61. We definitely debuff that, so we have From Rest. We have Laid Bare, so Fracture very much helps a lot. Whoa. Say what? Oh. I'm currently watching the stream on the other end here of Sponge Bibbly Bobby. It just doesn't click in my head. I first saw him as that Black Joe, and now it's just it's probably never going to disassociate, especially with a name that reads so weirdly in my head like that. Go check him out. He makes slam build content right now. He might end up doing other stuff in the future, maybe. We'll see if I can get him to do that. But he makes slam build content. He's been enjoying doing that. So go check him out on Twitch and on YouTube. I'll get to that point after we finish covering the build content. So we have Remnant Orb, which I don't typically use for these videos, but Here, I kind of just grabbed it because it went down the tree. I didn't have any, like, other skill that I want to grab to get further down, so I grabbed it. We have Awakening, which gives rush stack effectiveness, and we have Avatar, which is, we've already covered why this is here. And let's go over to Red Tree next. So we have Anima, which is just decent skill. We have Tempest, which is a good skill for more damage. We have Illuminated Fist. Now this here is for extra survivability. We are using a rocket launcher, and we're not going to be consistently always hitting somebody. This isn't some full auto weapon. This is a rocket launcher, so there's a lot of delayed action when it comes to the damage. So we're running Illuminated Fist to keep that healing up. We get to punch somebody to heal about half our HP with sustainment. We have Infusion, which really is just to get down the tree, and I didn't want to put it in other places that don't work. We have Wildfire, which again just continues to go down the tree. Now, Indiscriminate. This skill, the reason why there is 0 and not 3 in it, I don't think this works with the Mongol. I haven't seen it. I haven't been able to get it to have any visual effect. I've shot it several times with this skill in my skill tree, and I just never saw any results from the skill being here. So I didn't put it in here because I don't know if it's actually doing anything or not. That's the main thing. It's like I don't want to put something in here that I just don't understand or don't know that it's not working. Now, if I do accidentally, like I did with a couple of the Moe's videos with Purple Tree, then that's another thing. But it's like if when I'm playing with it and I just don't see it happen, then I'm not gonna actively include it in here because I don't want people to waste points. Now, Sustainment for Lifesteal, we have Conflux just simply because we're running the driver. This gives us up to 25 stacks of mindfulness. Now, I would have preferred having access to that purple calm, and either way, I probably would have still grabbed Conflux just simply because I'd have that spare point, but it's not a big deal. So, Route to Rise. We didn't grab Personal Space because we don't want to be in their face with the rocket launcher, so we went full in on Route to Rise. This gives us a lot more room for that lifesteal. Now, we also have Arm Steal here, which is the main skill that I was talking about. We're at 20% splash damage. We have some splash damage reduction. It's not really that big a deal. We want that splash damage. It's really nice. We have Find Your Center, which gives us more melee damage, which helps with Illuminated Fist. It also gives us more range on that melee, so that this way we can actually have that zoning feature for punching things, get them to push a little bit away so we can jump back and shoot them with that Mongol. Purple Tree. We have Heavy Rain, which gives us splash damage. We have Unweave the Rainbow, which gives us more damage based on if the enemy is frozen or not, and if we are using splash or melee. We have Go with the Flow, which gives us more gun damage and movement speed. And yeah, let's get started. So, for those that have noticed already, well, you must have noticed if you clicked on the video, unless you click through notification, but the thumbnail is extremely different in comparison to what I usually do here. That's because Starkiller made the did I really mess up the first shot of the video? Are you kidding me right now? I really just showed up and messed up. That sucks. That really sucks. Oh well. No big deal. Off my tail line. So, the thumbnail was made by Starkiller. Go give him a follow, and his group of people who follow. All of them are amazing people, and they've all been super helpful. Especially Starkiller. He's definitely coming from me. I have found it very difficult to start actually editing videos, and if it wasn't for him trying to having me do this little deal, I probably wouldn't have done it for another while, if ever. At least until somebody would have somebody else would have brought it up. But of course I miss. Freaking hate is Corroder. Corroders suck with the setup because I'm using a corrosive. Despite all of the shock that I have and it making sense for it to just deal more shock damage than corrosive, I'm just not dealing enough damage to really do much to him right now with this launcher. Anyways, back to praising Starkiller. Wow, I am not able to speak. Literally not able to speak. This happens so often. But he posed this deal so that I edit a video and he will do a thumbnail for me. Just simply because, like, I don't like doing either of them. But the one that I really don't like is editing. I refuse to do it at all. I kind of have to make a thumbnail. I could use the auto-generated thumbnail. That would have been a sight to see. But oh, okay. Oh, my shield actually broke right then and I did a thing. But whatever. Where's this last dude? Around the corner? Oh. Wow. Remnant Orb was totally a worthy decision. So, he posed this deal where I edit a video and he makes a thumbnail. Or makes a thumbnail for me. Which we decided that this video would be the video that gets the thumbnail. Mostly because I just don't have the time this week to freaking do anything. So I wanted to at least give some time on that. Now, words. When I saw the thumbnail, I was like, that looks freaking awesome. I definitely probably won't be able to make anything close to the quality for a while of what he made. So be happy with the thumbnail, please. What the? That hit Hilder? Okay. Hilder just tanked. He just took it for him. That's fine. Didn't bother anything here. Alright, we got this. I got the toboggan. Oh, this man's freaking out because he doesn't know the true trials drops. That's beautiful. I love just hanging out in Twitch and just like helping people out with like understanding and learning the game. So that's why I did that video on the Hemovorous Destroyer on the Destroyer build. That was so whack of a name. That was whack. But I made that video to help some people who were actively doing the hunt. And so it's just like, I love going around and helping people when it comes to that regard, which is the entire reason why, well, not the entire, it was one of the reasons why I do YouTube, is to help people. I just enjoy helping people in any facet of the phrase. I'm a pretty open person. I just love helping out. So it's just like, I've just hopped into several people's either like Twitch or YouTube and just like say hi and help them learn the game. Being able to help people with at least this is something. Look at that! Look at that ragdoll. Let's go. I'll answer all of his questions after we get to the video here. But I'm talking a little bit about this build more. The most difficult sections when it comes to this build are the wacky terrain style ad clearing. So like if there's walls and stuff, like a decent example is Ascension Bluff, where there's just a lot of walls and it's kind of difficult to hit people around those walls. Another place is the bridge. The bridge freaking sucks. I have totally not failed a couple runs with this launcher during the testing because of bridge. That totally hasn't happened. Not at all. No. But this launcher is really good. It's just simply because skill issue with terrain. I want your guys' opinions on the quality of videos. Do you guys think it's gone up by quite a bit, or like what? Actually, here's a better question: what do you guys like about my videos? I asked this in a community post, which was the same community post that Starkiller made the deal in. But I am very curious about your guys' thoughts. Do you guys think that I've improved at making content, and what kind of stuff do you guys think makes my content viewable or good to you? If you think it's good. If you think it's bad and you still watch because it's bad, tell me that as well. That guy died. That's cool. Up. Alright. So, this is one of the more difficult spots. There's a lot of terrain and a lot of walls here. There's a lot of boxes. Give me a couple of seconds so I can get these two maybe. Can I hit them both like that? I can. Let's go. Okay. I'll shoot his foot. Go. Let's see. Oh, I completely forgot. Hold up. Let me pull up one of the other polls that I've done recently. Oh, right here. So, let's see here. What... I said I would talk about some of these or bring up some of these in a video. So, I am bringing some of these up in a video. The question in the poll was, what is your favorite Borderlands element and why? Whether it was a story or just like your personal reason to why you like it. If it's just if you like it, then it's just you like it. But I'm mostly just curious about what people like and why. And I got a couple interesting results out of this. So the poll itself had fire, shock. Can I like sprint? Fire, shock, and corrosive listed, which are the base default 3 elements. But the ones that I got comments about were radiation and cryo. I got comments about radiation and cryo. Let's see. What was the actual total results here? So we got 39% of the results got fire, and then 22% of the results were comments. They responded not mentioned out of 3, and that they wanted to comment. So we got. Let's read through some of these, actually. We got, again, radiation and cryo, which is pretty cool. Both of those are really fun elemental effects. They have their own specialized debuff that do shenanigans. So, shenanigans are always fun. Yo, wait! I didn't think I'd be able to get a situation like that. Of course I fumble it, but I didn't think I'd be able to get a situation like that where I use Fracture, hit multiple people in a row and then be able to just drop bombs on them. Like, that was awesome. So these BAs are gonna be kind of annoying. So are you, because you're gonna run away. There we go. This is actually one of the better ones because it's really easy to lead with this weapon. Well, unless they've already started their momentum, then it's really difficult to hit them just simply because they're already moving fast. There we go. Oh, he fell down? Where did he fall? In the corner? He did fall in the corner. Let's go, we got him. Alright, let's see. What's the second one here? So we got Corrosion! Because of Handsome Jack. That's a fair pick there. So we've got Killerfish731, who said that they genuinely love Slag. So I responded saying that I would probably talk about my newfound opinions on Slag in a little bit in one of my later videos, which is probably coming up now because I'm now talking about the comments in the video here. But there's a fine line for where Slag kind of falls in my minds now, because it used to just be, oh, freaking Slag bad, Slag being required being bad. Oh. God dang it. I apologize for the random pause. I was asked a question that was directed towards me, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I can't really just, like, not respond now. So, I just paused. But can I, like, deal damage? Good lord. But my thoughts on Slag are very, very, like, thread the needle now, because I've learned a lot more about it, and I find some of it to be really interesting, and then others of it to be just like, eh. But I say that, and people are just like, it's not that deep. It's literally just one freaking element. It does one thing. Calm down. But here's the first bit. So a debuff that increases your damage generally is actually pretty cool. I mean, of course, that's just what a debuff is. It's gonna buff you in some sort of way by affecting the enemy's stats, whether that is making them take more damage to something, or it is you take less damage from something. That's just the way that works. Now, when it comes to Slag is... Oh, wait. Did I not get... I didn't. Okay. I need to grab my... When it comes to Slag, there is a dynamic of you need to have either another weapon or some sort of built-in skill tree way of getting Slag to apply to an enemy. And there are definitely a lot of fun ways of doing that, and there are definitely some ways that are not so fun that are kind of required on some other characters. For example, there is the whole, I don't like using meta gear, and Grog Nozzle. And those two statements don't go very well together. What the heck is happening? Triple Frost? Good luck trying to use a primary weapon tactic with Slag without utilizing a meta weapon. There's a few specific examples, but there's not very many that are viable. There are not very many that are, like, entirely viable. We have, I forget the name of the SMG. I think it's, like, the Fluorescence. Please somebody correct me in the comments. But it does, like, shock and Slag on the same gun. It's a little SMG. And that one's mechanics are pretty cool. It does both shock and slag, and so it can be used to damage things, and it also does the debuff, so that this way, if you wanted to, you could swap to another weapon and get some better damage on that, or even get that slag bonus on the shock damage from that same weapon, which is really cool. Now, there are other alternatives when you have to swap and constantly swap to get the slag to apply to enemies. It's like, in some cases, sure, that's cool. I mean, it's an effect that definitely should be used in some sort of way. I do kind of find it a problem that there are a lot of scenarios where it's just kind of required, and then there's some bosses that are just immune to it, and you're just like, okay, my build revolves around this effect, I no longer can use it, so what the heck am I supposed to do here? And I mean, like, that applies with any elemental-based builds. It definitely hits a lot more with slag, though, just simply because there are so many reasons to use slag on just about every build. It's just like, why are you not using slag? And so slag has become like a very, very, very required piece when it comes to the casual player base. It's not as required when it comes to a lot of the more like technical or build making side of the community. Okay, where's the little guy? Right there. Oh, what? That dealt a lot more damage than I thought it would. Hold up. Hold up. Whoops. I didn't mean to get into that, but it's like the way the slag is treated in BL2 can be construed as a problem. And I definitely think it's not done as well as it could have been. The concept is really cool. In my opinion, it is just because of the balancing of the game, the elements isn't exactly the best. And I definitely feel like the game shouldn't be entirely balanced around that mechanic, because then it makes a lot of weapons that don't really let you use that not as good, or just not viable in comparison to, like, and when I say not viable, I mean like either raid on Digistruct peak in single player or doing a raid boss. And if you take the aspect away of the balancing and you just think about, is this element cool or is it not cool? I think slag as a concept is freaking awesome. I love that concept, and it works really well with melee. Like cryo. Cryo isn't required for a good melee build. It definitely isn't. But it works really well to add that multiplicative effect to it. And the same thing radiation. Radiation isn't required for AoE splash builds, but it is a super fun effect to use in that regard. I feel like that's one of the primary things about slag. It definitely gets a bad rap because of the game that it's in, not because of the effect. And the effect by itself in an isolated environment is really freaking cool. I'm literally using a similar effect like that in here. Laid Bare, Enade. They are both very similar to slag. Do the same kind of thing. A game's not balanced around them. Well, them specifically. They're balanced around the base concept, maybe. But even then, if you want to try and argue that, the game is just way too easy in that regard. Which then it goes back to the, hey, we don't want to overbuff it because we don't want to specifically tailor the entire game around this specific mechanic. And there are definitely ways of playing builds that are outside of that realm. I mean, Garnet Anarchist made several amazing videos talking about and showcasing builds that didn't require slag. If you put a more high-powered setup on it, definitely didn't require slag. And there were other times where it's like, hey, this setup is freaking awesome. It uses slag, but it also uses some very, very bad or underrated gear, like some white weapons. So it's like, there were definitely times where slag isn't required, and it was fun to look at when it comes to utilizing the build archetype. The biggest problem is the very end game requires either utilization or knowledge on slag or other respective mechanics when it comes to like Great Undestruct Peak, unless you were utilizing a more meta setup. And even then, it's still arguable to not exactly be 100%. And so it's more so just that visualization is what made slag look bad. The mechanic is really cool. I love that mechanic. It's just the way that the game was balanced makes it seem required, and that's the problem. When something that is usually optional is required, it no longer becomes fun. Like mandatory fun. Is mandatory fun actually fun? I don't think so. But enough with my ramblings. I hope y'all had an amazing day. And tune in this next Wednesday for potentially a bug reveal video. If not, it's going over a Iron Bear build that has very close resemblance and hints towards the bug that I'm going to be showcasing at some point. I hope y'all enjoyed. See y'all in the next video.